everybody, X-Credits Crew's at PAX this week, so who knows if I'm going to get a script written. So instead I figured I'd sit down with some of my fellow designers and talk to you all about what we've seen at PAX and what we think is most interesting. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Absolutely. I'm Kayd Hendricks. I'm the Senior Technical and Gameplay Designer on a game called ARK Survival Evolved.
Hi there, my name is Fred One. I am the narrative designer for a game called Legend of the Five Rings.
Both games are awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
All right, I think we're going to start with Minecraft and talk about this whole Minecraft story mode thing that, I mean, it's been talked about for a while, but this is the first time I've gotten to really take a look at it. So let's move right into that. Both that studio and that franchise.
You're not sure they work well together?
I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's either going to be brilliant or terrible, and I can't decide which.
But that's the story of everything that's worth following.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's tough because it's one of those, Microsoft made that purchase because of people. They bought people. They didn't buy a franchise. They bought the ability to reach out to those people, and there's no way they're going to waste the opportunity to monetize.
Well, they have to, because at $2 billion, right, they've already sold most of the copies of Minecraft that they're going to sell, so they need to find other ways to sell it, and it's got to be that and like Minecraft 2, right, or DLC.
Yeah, especially because, and I don't know how binding it is, but there was an agreement that if you purchased the game in alpha or any time during it, you got all subsequent updates to the game, etc. And I don't know how binding that is moving across companies.
Right, and across international legal lines.
But even if it's not legally binding, it's brand binding in a separate sense, right? With repercussion.
More importantly, Microsoft is the most risk-averse company I've seen.
Exactly.
They hate litigation.
Right.
They don't want to get sued by a random game fan. So
particularly not on something that may on its face have validity to it.
Yes,
right?
It's a class action going.
Lawsuit is different from
right, that won't get quite instantly dismissed, right?
And getting tied up in that, and not even the threat of losing, but having to deal with the stigma that comes with,
such as it is.
And somebody will be willing to take it as a class action suit, right?
Yes, exactly.
There will be a law firm that's totally
nothing like losing 20, 30 million people,
right?
At, whatever, $10 a pop,
right?
And flushing $100 million down the toilet because you didn't want to give people an update
and
for
why
free.
Throw away the brand?
Right.
Why throw away the brand at all?
But
makes no sense.
The question is, I don't know if Microsoft is capable of managing that brand. Like, I think the internal company culture is not necessarily right for...
Well, it's not flexible. It's not responsive.
And, I mean, I hate to put it this way, but it's not indie, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
There is actually a culture... There is a conscious culture of not having a culture,
right?
Which is highly paradoxical.
And indie is so DIY, like punk rock, and Microsoft is the antithesis of that, and it's hard to...
Microsoft is the man.
Right, which is too bad, because I want to... I mean, I'm local, I want to be rooting for them, but that is the image that they've come.
You can root for them even if you are slightly pessimistic in the quiet of your mind.
What they could do, who knows, they could actually, for once, make a team that's just for handling Minecraft, and if they could...
My understanding is that they have.
Okay.
But here's the question to you. Minecraft was never a product that needed a 100-person team. Right?
Correct.
And that's Microsoft Teams, right?
Well, they need like 6 guys in a room who just do Minecraft stuff, and like that's all that they need for it. Because that would be enough people to, manage putting out updates and cleaning up bugs and stuff like that.
But then what do your shareholders say?
Right. And I mean, if you bought something for $2 billion and you have 6 people in charge of it, right? Like,
but does it matter if the numbers at the end of the day are...
It matters for purposes of convincing the financial markets that you're not doing this as a vanity project for those 6 people.
And
fair enough.
That the risk, right? What if one of those 6 people actually just loses it, right? What if they push an update that's totally terrible for you because you got 6 people, you don't have the sort of managerial checks and balances, which Microsoft is filled with.
But all of those managerial checks and balances arguably are anathema to the mindset that led to Minecraft.
Right.
There is a potential paradox.
So it was really interesting. We were talking about how now Microsoft has a whole division for education. I mean, this is what I've been kicking companies for the last 2 years of my life to do. What are your thoughts on Microsoft and gamifying education and using real games in education?
Well, it's something that is going to be really, really important, I think, moving forward. I've seen a number of other companies actually looking into either dealing with medical applications of games and technology, or again, especially education has been a really big one, and I'm extremely interested in seeing where they take Minecraft in terms of education, because there's so many different aspects of that game in terms of cooperation, in terms of architecture, in terms of all sorts of things that they could take and use that game to build out from. So
my only worry is, in that structure, is it going to be too on the nose, right? Because like, I love Kerbal Space Program as an educational game, right?
Fantastic game.
But one of the reasons that it succeeds is that it is not as, hey, let me teach you aerodynamics and physics,
well, you
right?
have to make mistakes with it, and you learn through the mistakes that you make.
And you're allowed to make those mistakes. It's not a curriculum, it's a, you will learn this by trial and error, the way that humans really learn.
I actually don't think the next step forward might be in the gamification itself. I think it might be the framework of teachers and the community understanding how to properly debrief, so that the existing things you can get out of games are better instilled into students.
And I think this is really important, and even using existing titles, because like I was in Norway, I met this teacher who's a fantastic teacher, and he teaches ethics, but he teaches ethics through The Walking Dead, right? And so they read their books on ethics or whatever. You read your Kant or your Nietzsche, and then you take that line of reasoning, and rather than just being a dead, dry text, all of a sudden there's a real-world context. I mean, real world, but to anyone playing that game, it feels,
there's a visceral context.
Right. There's an application.
Right. And one example, there is a bit of a spoiler here, but in This War of Mine.
Yes.
And this is personal, I'm going to use personal example, self-reflection, and how a teacher could take a classroom through that, right? The first time I killed someone in that game, I remembered it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first time I killed someone and had it just be an expected value calculation and mechanics calculation, I remembered the moment when I was comfortable enough. And if you stop to reflect on that, there is a very significant moral implication.
And it's something that's very human and very real. It's not something that you'll only see in a game.
Well, and it's a transition that you don't necessarily understand living comfortably in a first world nation.
Exactly.
That is much better presented that way than just being told about, right? But
the expertise and the familiarity and the literacy with games for the educator to be able to realize there's this example to take out isn't widely known yet.
And we also have to be careful, because not your entire class isn't also going to have that same level of literacy. I mean, young people are more likely to, but you have to be playing games where the game itself is easy enough to operate, where it can be operated sort of on a classroom level, so that way the individual student doesn't necessarily need sort of the expertise that we need.
And I think you're going to end up with a situation where, if Microsoft does that, if they actually go the route of giving teachers not just the skill set and the ability to go and do that, but I guess maybe the freedom to create their own kind of curriculum once they have the ability to understand how to teach through games, letting them have the freedom to do that in whichever way suits their students the best, rather than here's a core set of things and you have to teach this to all the kids exactly this way, because that's how games are. They're explorative. You have to let people learn games in their own way.
And especially with Minecraft, it's really interesting. I hope they give the teachers the tools, because the one thing we've learned from Minecraft is give people the tools on such a mass scale, and people will make better things than you can ever actually create just with the studio team.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Designing a game is an art. Playing a game is itself a different kind of art.
Yes.
And different people get different things out of artistic expression. So one of the things I think that society is grappling with is a game does not mean the same thing to two individual players of the same demographic.
Exactly.
But we've dealt with this in film, we've dealt with this in literature, and we've come to a canon of literature that we say, for a moral education, for a philosophical education, for a, even a mathematical education, here are the foundational texts, right? And that's something that I think we need to approach in games, because I think it can be done, right? You're absolutely right that not everybody's going to get the same thing, even if they're very similar players, but we can kind of find that range that
where you're going to get most of them.
The process of considered reflection,
right?
And people who are generally seen as having the authority to pronounce on this is the game that is the epitome of this style of expression or exploring this theme. I'm not sure we have enough figures there yet, but we need to develop them.
Well, and I don't know if we even have enough. I mean, this is young art, right?
Yes.
I don't actually know if we have enough canon body of work.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few things that I think are indubitably classics, right?
Yes.
But it's not like 4,000 years of literature, right? It's not even like 150 years, 120 years of film.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of building up that we have to do this. But I think we have to start thinking about these problems now.
Yes.
Otherwise, I worry that
we needed to start thinking about those problems a while ago. We need to catch up.
But I think that's all the time I've got before my next panel, but hopefully I'll be able to catch up with you guys at some point, and we can keep these discussions because it's always a blast.
Awesome.
All right, well, I will see you guys later this con.
Yeah,
absolutely. Take it easy.